Hello, welcome to the Real Pictures Virtual Reality Diary. This is our third video and we're going to show part of the Museum of the Hoddle Grid Virtual Reality demo that we've been working on. So today we've got my wife, Ivy, as our test subject, and she's going to demonstrate how the waiting room works, and we also have what we call Instructor Mode happening. So right now, as you can see on the computer screen, Ivy is standing in a virtual reality version of the room we're in. So the two main desks are modeled, particularly the one that's the computer that's running off. Generally, when people approach us for the first time, this is the demo we might run, and we aim to have the entire studio modeled as a one-to-one representation. That way they can kind of get used to putting the headset on, and then we can invite them to try and go over to the table and pick up the controller. So if you want to try that out, Ive, and pick up the actual controller off the table. Before trying VR, these people, especially people who've never tried virtual reality, we show them the controller, and to be able to see it in virtual reality one-to-one is always exciting. And that way you have that kind of connective, the real room that you're standing in, augmented with actual objects. So you could approach the table in front of you, Ivy, and try and pick up the boxes that are in it. This table we've moved today, so it's not 100% lined up. So the room is, like in our first video, at a rough state, but the main the goal of this room is to kind of pick up one of the cartridges that we have. So the demo we're going to show today, there's a few we have. Each one's got a different label on them. And it is a bit of an awkward system at the moment. We're still kind of getting our feet wet. But the demo we want to show off is called the Museum of the Hoddle Grid. It's our gold-colored cartridge, and that can be carried over to the cartridge loader, and I should be doing my job as a cable wrangler. And then it's possible to pull the lever. This is definitely inspired by Job Simulator, and the lever, you might have to pull it again, sometimes it's a bit dodgy. So inside the headset, the screen goes black. On the screen capture that we're showing here, it appears to have frozen. So this is the Museum of the Hoddle Grid demo that we have. People start in the waiting room. Whenever we demoed this project, at one point we demoed it to an audience of about 30 people. So this waiting room was the point where people could put on the headset for the first time. We could make sure it was comfortable. We asked people to kind of look around the space. We have these very thin rings that are around the visitor, the subject. And so we ask them if these thin rings appear sharp, and that's how we can tell if the headset's in the right spot, or if it's blurry, we need to kind of adjust either the interpupillary distance or put the headset higher or lower. And once we know that the headset's sharp enough, we encourage them to kind of move around. So the circles are placed at about the same radius of the chaperone system in the Vive. So people can kind of walk up to the edge of the circles and get used to walking in VR. When we're doing the demo, we usually keep track of the cables so that they're not going to be an issue, as they are with this generation of virtual reality. And if this, in the actual setup, at this point, the person wouldn't have the controller. And so what we do is have the controller suddenly appear in front of them on a plinth, a kind of virtual column. In real life, it's just a small kind of stand. So they can pick it up and then check out the controller for themselves. And the one thing I forgot, which is all while this is happening, we've decided to make it a one controller experience. So the person's only focusing with one hand. So one's for the user to do basic interactions with. The second one, we actually hold. So I'll turn it on and let it catch the sensors, you can see on the screen that this controller, we're rendering it as a head. And the kind of idea is that, if I hold it the right way, the idea that if we hold this head, as we kind of move around the space and move around this person, we're hoping it's a little bit less kind of weird, that they feel like they're completely cut off from reality, they're blind to the room around them. Instead, I can kind of stand here, and if I was to kind of try and get out of Ivy's way and I'm still talking here, she can still get an idea of how far away I am and where I am, so it's not really possible for me to actually accidentally sneak up on her. And it is just a head, but what we plan to do, which we're trying to implement, is a torso, so that if the controller is about 150 centimeters off the ground, a torso will be drawn that just doesn't have to be accurate, but at least shows you where the physical person is. We also want to set it up so that as I speak, or whoever's being the instructor in the demo speaks, the mouth will either move or have a kind of audio waveform. We also have an option where we can point at things. So I can kind of indicate to people and say, oh, have you checked out what's over there? And the idea is to try and get them to kind of turn around, you know? So if I say, have you seen that way over? Have you seen anything over there? I can kind of indicate a particular area, because leading people's vision is very difficult in VR. So the instructor kind of stays with the person throughout this demo, and once we know that they're comfortable, set up, they've got the controller at this point, they can check and the trigger even bends, which is really cool. So if you pull your trigger finger down, it actually animates one-to-one. And so as they're looking around the space, so I might, see, does it work if you look this way, Ive? And on cue, I'm hitting spacebar today, but we often cue things either with the controller in our hands, or we've been using a data projector kind of laser pointer, but programming that just to do simple commands. And so what we have cued is a button. So if you look back at the text, there's now a begin button. If the person can't see it, we can point it out to them, and we invite them to kind of approach the button, and if they put their hand out to right up to the button, hold it there for a few seconds, the screen will fade to black and it will load the main museum of the Hoddle Grid demo. So it's the first floor building that we're in right now, the first floor virtual reality museum exhibit. This is a demo that the first VR demo we ever did, and it's got a bit going on it. And so in a future video, we wanted to kind of talk through that. But today we wanted to just kind of talk about the idea of having an instructor mode. It's now possible to order HTC's hardware so that you could use these sensors to track anything. You could make a band that you put around your ankle and track your foot. So we aim to use those to track multiple objects in heaps of exciting ways. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next VR Diary video.